Hey everybody, Drew Mazurek with Universal Audio, and in this video, I want to shine a spotlight on the UAD Ocean Way Studios plugin. Now, this is a must-have plugin for me. I've got it on every mix and have for many, many years, and it sounds great on every instrument. But as you're about to hear in this video, it is magic on drums. So I got a lot to cover. Let's jump in. So let's start by checking out how I have the drums mixed so far. This is a pretty basic drum setup: kick, snare, some toms that have been cleaned up so they only play when they're hit, and of course overheads, rooms, hi-hat, and ride mics. Now, we're gonna listen with the room mics muted first, and I'm gonna solo the overheads halfway through so that we can hear them by themselves. These drums are recorded in a fairly small space, so they're pretty dry and up front. You could really tell that when I soloed the overheads. So let's solo these room mics and see what they sound like on their own. So as you can hear, they're not terribly different from the overheads since that room is so small. Let's have a closer look. If we look in the edit window, you can actually see that the room mics arrive about 10 milliseconds later than the close mics. And since sound travels at around 1 foot per millisecond, we know these room mics were only about 10 feet away. But let's check out what our drums sound like with them added. They're helping a little bit, but with the room being that small, there's really only so much they can add. This is where UAD Ocean Way Studios comes in. Ocean Way Studios is a faithful recreation of the iconic Los Angeles studio where countless hit records were made. Let's take a quick tour of the plugin before we listen. Let's start in the upper left-hand portion of the plugin. We modeled both Studio A and Studio B, and it's here where you choose which you'd like to use. To the right of that, you can see the source pull-down menu. This allows you to voice the room so that it's appropriate for the given instrument. We have drums, strings, horns, piano, vocals, etc. This controls the dispersion pattern that your instrument would have had in that space, and you typically want it to match. Of course, you can experiment and use piano voicing on drums or drum voicing on vocals and so forth. Just let your imagination go wild. You'll also notice that there are two cabinets here, Cab M and Cab V. These are in fact modeled guitar cabinets, so you can use them to reamp guitars. Be sure to see the links in the description for an additional walkthrough of this plugin and a demo of this reamping technique. We're going to use Studio A drums. Below that, you have the EQ for tailoring the tonality of the space. These broad filters are great for adding or subtracting overall lows and highs. In the upper right-hand corner, you choose the mode, Remic or Reverb. We're using Remic, which is the mode used when you want to completely replace and revoice your microphone so they sound like the microphones in the studio. Reverb mode allows you to put it on a send and add it in with your original sound. I'll show that in my second example. To the left of the mode are the microphones. Here you can choose between many classic microphones from Ocean Way Studios' famous collection. It's a mix of omnidirectional and cardioid mics. Cardioid mics will have more direct sound and less reflections, whereas omnis, which pick up from all the way around, will have more ambience, so you really have a lot of flexibility and control here. Below that, you can control the distance of each of these microphones, which has a huge impact on the sound and how much of the room you hear. Below that, you have filtering, phase, mute, pan, and level for each of the microphones. Finally, in the upper right-hand corner, we have pre-delay, which inserts a delay between the sound and its ambience, and is only available when in reverb mode, as well as bypass, left-right swap in case you want to switch perspectives, as well as mono and wet-dry controls. Wet-dry is also only available in reverb mode. Lastly, we have the final master level output. So now that we have a handle on the basics of the plugin and how it works, let's listen to what it's going to do to our room mics. So we're going to turn it on and listen to it soloed. Nice, I'm really liking that. Let's listen in context. That's quite a transformation. Let's hear it with Ocean Way off again for perspective. I'm not liking those drums without it now, that's for sure. Now, this might be exactly what I want, but let's do a second example where we put it on a send off of the room mics. This allows the original room mics to still be part of the sound while we blend in the vibe and ambience of the room. And as a bonus trick, let's put an 1176 in front of it on that send to add some excitement to the room. So let's go back to our drum sound with the plain room mics blended in. Now I'm going to add Ocean Way Studios in parallel on a send. Let's check it out. Now for a little extra spice, let's engage the 1176 in all buttons in mode in front of Ocean Way Studios. Wow, that hits even harder now, and we've really brought out the ghost notes the drummer's playing. It might be a little over the top, but we'd have to hear it in the context of the whole song to really decide, but it's super cool. As you've heard in this video, the UAD Ocean Way Studios plugin can transform the drums you record in your small space. But be sure to try it on other instruments as well. Everything I showed in this video can apply to guitar, vocals, keyboards, anything really. I think you're really gonna love and get a lot of use out of this plugin. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified of all new UA content. I'll see you next time.